paint tasted sweet, and that was the lead. The pipes were soldered with poison, the outlets had no shock protection, and the medicine cabinet could be opened by a toddler. Here are 30 bathroom features that are illegal now but were completely normal in the 1970s. The Mercury thermometer sat in every medicine cabinet in America, a slim glass tube filled with liquid silver wedged between the aspirin and the iodine. When you had a fever, your mother placed it under your tongue and told you not to move. Mercury is a potent neurotoxin, sealed inside a tube thin enough for a child to snap with a single bite. A broken thermometer released roughly half a gram of elemental mercury, enough to push the air in a small bathroom well past safe exposure limits set by the EPA. The vapor was invisible and odorless. Kids rolled the silver beads across the tile floor with bare fingers, not knowing the metal absorbs through the skin on contact. By 2001, 13 states had banned mercury thermometers for home use. Before 1975, not a single electrical outlet in your bathroom was required to have ground fault circuit interrupter protection. The outlets had 2 flat slots, no test button, no reset, and no ability to detect a lethal current leak. If a plugged-in hairdryer fell into a filled bathtub, nothing stood between the electricity and the person sitting in it. A study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association documented at least 95 bathtub electrocution deaths in the United States between 1979 and 1982. Hairdryers were responsible for 60% of those deaths, and kids under 5 had the highest mortality rate. The National Electrical Code did not mandate GFCI outlets in bathrooms until its 1975 edition, and many local jurisdictions took years to adopt the standard. The Electrical Safety Foundation later estimated that GFCI technology cut home electrocution deaths in half. Every copper pipe joint in a 1970s bathroom was sealed with solder that contained up to 50% lead by weight. The plumber melted it with a torch, smoothed it with a rag, and moved to the next fitting. That solder sat in direct contact with the water flowing to your sink, your bathtub, and your shower head, leaching lead into every drop that passed through. Hot water accelerated the process, which meant the shower and the bath were the worst exposure points in the house. For children, even low concentrations of lead in water were linked to developmental delays, learning disabilities, and behavioral problems. Congress did not ban lead solder in residential plumbing until 1986 through an amendment to the Safe Drinking Water Act. Even then, the law defined lead-free as up to 8% lead content in fittings. That threshold was not reduced to 0.25% until 2011. For over a decade after the ban, the plumbing industry was still allowed to install fittings that leached lead into your family's water. If your home was built before the 1970s, there was a narrow slot on the back wall of the medicine cabinet, just wide enough to slide a used razor blade through. The blade dropped into the wall cavity and was never seen again. No collection box, no sealed container, no removal mechanism. The blades fell between the studs and piled up for decades. Renovation contractors who opened bathroom walls in older homes routinely found hundreds of rusted blades stacked in loose piles behind the plaster, some still sharp enough to cut through a work glove. No regulation required the slots to be sealed. No code addressed what happened to the blades once they disappeared. The practice faded as disposable cartridge razors replaced double-edged safety blades, but the walls of older American homes still hold the evidence. The danger in a 1970s bathroom was not just behind the walls, it was under your bare feet. Vinyl floor tiles manufactured by Armstrong, Kentile, and Flintcoat contained asbestos fibers mixed directly into the material for durability and heat resistance. They were installed in millions of bathrooms from the 1920s through the late 70s, and the black mastic adhesive used to glue them down also contained asbestos. As long as the tiles stayed intact, the fibers remained trapped. But bathroom floors take constant abuse. Moisture warps the edges, foot traffic cracks the surface, and when a tile chipped or broke, microscopic asbestos fibers became airborne in a small enclosed room with poor ventilation. The EPA began restricting asbestos in the late 1970s, but tiles already installed were never required to be removed. Every bathroom renovation in an older home carried the risk of releasing a known carcinogen into the lungs of whoever was standing nearby with a scraper in hand. In the early 1970s, a residential water heater shipped with its thermostat preset to 140 degrees Fahrenheit or higher, no warning label on the unit, no anti-scald mixing valve on any faucet, and no industry standard suggesting a safer setting. At 140 degrees, a child's skin sustained a severe burn in 3 seconds. At 120, the same injury took 10 minutes. That 20-degree gap was the difference between a safe bath and a hospital visit, but nobody adjusted for it. The Consumer Product Safety Commission reported that tap water scalds hospitalized 1,500 Americans annually and killed roughly 100. 34% of scald burns in young kids happened in the bathroom. Washington State passed the first law requiring water heaters to be preset to 120 degrees in 1983. Manufacturers did not adopt a voluntary national standard until 1988. The bathroom was the worst room in the house for lead paint, and the reason was moisture. Lead-based paint-covered walls, windowsills, and trim in homes built through the late 1970s. Dutch Boy and other brands contained as much as 50% lead by dry weight. In a bathroom, steam from daily showers caused the paint to blister and peel faster than anywhere else. Chips landed on the floor, in the sink, along the tub's edge where toddlers could grab them. Lead paint chips taste sweet, which made them dangerous to any child who put things in their mouth. The CPSC banned lead-based residential paint in 1978, but the rule covered new products only. Nobody had to strip the paint already on their walls. The CDC later documented that average childhood blood lead levels fell from 15 micrograms per deciliter in the late 70s to 1.4 by 2008. Homes built before 1962 had standard two-prong electrical outlets in the bathroom, mounted on the wall within arm's reach of the sink and the tub. A grounding wire provides a safe path for stray current to return to the panel instead of passing through a human body. Without that wire, a short circuit in any appliance, a razor, a radio, a heat lamp, sent the current looking for the nearest ground, which in a wet bathroom was often the person standing on damp tile or touching a metal faucet. Many older homes also lacked a dedicated bathroom circuit. The outlets shared wiring with bedrooms and hallways, increasing the load and the risk of overheating at every connection point. These two-prong outlets were never banned. The National Electrical Code required grounded three-prong receptacles in new construction, but millions of older bathrooms kept their original wiring for decades. No federal mandate has ever required homeowners to replace existing ungrounded outlets unless a renovation triggers a code compliance inspection. Georgia Pacific, National Gypsum, and several other manufacturers sold joint compound and spackling paste containing chrysotile asbestos throughout the 1960s and 70s. It was used to finish drywall seams, patch cracks, and smooth bathroom walls before painting. The product went on wet and was sanded smooth once dry, and the sanding was the problem. Each pass of the sandpaper launched a fine cloud of dust loaded with asbestos fibers into the air. In a bathroom, where the space was small and the door was usually closed, fiber concentrations could spike within minutes. The CPSC banned asbestos in spackling compounds and joint compound in 1977, but the material already applied to millions of bathroom walls was not affected by the rule. Homeowners who patched, sanded, or refinished their own bathroom walls through the 80s and 90s had no idea what they were inhaling. The compound looked like ordinary plaster dust. It was not. Before 1977, shower doors and tub enclosures were not required to use tempered glass. Standard annealed glass, the same brittle material found in picture frames, was installed in bathrooms across the country. When it broke, it did not crumble into small, blunt pieces. It shattered into long, razor-edged shards capable of slicing through skin on contact. In a shower, where you are wet, barefoot, and unclothed, a fall against an annealed glass panel was a serious emergency. The CPSC issued its safety standard for architectural glazing materials in 1977, requiring tempered or laminated safety glass in hazardous locations, including showers and bathtubs. Tempered glass is 4 to 5 times stronger and breaks into small, relatively dull cubes instead of jagged blades. But the standard only applied to new installations. Older bathrooms with original annealed panels were grandfathered in, and many stayed that way well into the 90s, waiting for a slip, a stumble, or a child playing too rough to turn a morning shower into something far worse. If the glass could cut you in an instant, the insulation wrapped around the pipes behind it worked on a different timeline. Asbestos lagging, a thick wrapping of woven asbestos cloth bonded with adhesive, was standard insulation for hot water pipes from the 1930s through the late 70s. In the bathroom, it covered every pipe running to the tub, the shower, and the sink. As the material aged, it became friable, crumbling at the slightest touch. A plumber tightening a valve behind the toilet could disturb it without knowing. The EPA banned certain asbestos pipe insulation in 1975, but material already installed was left in place. A study from the National Institutes of Health found that plumbers and pipe fitters had 10 times the rate of pleural thickening compared to telephone workers, a direct marker of asbestos exposure. The Department of Labor classified plumbers among the 4 highest risk occupations for mesothelioma. The pipes in a 1970s bathroom were wrapped in a material that could take 30 to 50 years to show what it had done. It smelled sweet, almost like chloroform, and it worked beautifully as a spot cleaner. Carbon tetrachloride was sold in hardware stores well into the 1960s as a general-purpose solvent. Families kept a bottle under the bathroom sink and used it on tile grout, grease stains, and chrome fixtures. The chemical was also packed into small glass fire extinguisher grenades designed to be thrown at the base of a flame, but when heated, carbon tetrachloride produced phosgene, the same gas used as a weapon in the First World War. Even at room temperature, the vapor attacked the liver, the kidneys, and the central nervous system. The Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry classified it as a probable human carcinogen. Its dangers were recognized as early as 1900, yet consumer products containing it were not fully restricted until the EPA canceled its use as a fumigant in 1986. One of the most toxic solvents ever manufactured sat in an unlabeled bottle under the bathroom sink for decades. Before 1970, there was no federal requirement for child-resistant packaging on any medication sold in the United States. Aspirin bottles, sleeping pills, prescription painkillers, and cough syrups all came with simple twist-off caps that a 3-year-old could open in seconds. They sat in the bathroom medicine cabinet, usually on the lowest shelf, at eye level with any toddler standing on the toilet lid. Aspirin alone was the leading cause of accidental poisoning deaths in young kids during the 1960s. The Poison Prevention Packaging Act of 1970 required manufacturers to use child-resistant closures on hazardous household substances, including most prescription and over-the-counter medications. Within a decade, childhood poisoning deaths from aspirin dropped by roughly 60%. The law was straightforward, effective, and decades overdue. The medicine cabinet in a 1970s bathroom had no lock, no latch, and no childproofing of any kind. It was a metal box with a mirrored door that swung open with a light pull, and inside was a pharmacological free-for-all. Seconal, Nembutal, Quaalude, Valium, codeine cough syrup, and whatever the family doctor had prescribed that month, all sat on open shelves in a room where kids bathed unsupervised every night. Doctors during this era wrote prescriptions freely, often for months' worth of supply at a time, with unlimited refills. There were no tamper-proof seals on any bottle, no dosage-limiting packaging, and no requirement for the cabinet itself to restrict access. The combination of powerful sedatives, open storage, and unsupervised children created a situation that emergency rooms across the country dealt with routinely. The medicine cabinet was not designed as a safety feature. It was a shelf behind a mirror, and the mirror did not lock. If the medicine cabinet held chemical hazards, the fixture above the mirror introduced a different kind of damage. Home sun lamps were a staple of 1970s bathroom culture. Wall-mounted ultraviolet bulbs that promised a year-round tan without leaving the house. Department stores and catalogs sold them as health devices, promoted for vitamin D and wellness. The bulbs emitted UV radiation at intensities 10 to 15 times stronger than midday summer sun, according to the International Agency for Research on Cancer. Most models had no timer, no automatic shutoff, and no protective eyewear in the box. The FDA did not issue a performance standard for sun lamp products until 1979, and no age restrictions were proposed until 2014. A 2006 IARC analysis found that indoor UV device users had a 15% higher risk of melanoma. The lamp above your mirror was a Class 1 carcinogen sold as a beauty accessory. Vinyl wallpaper was the go-to material for bathroom walls throughout the 1960s and 70s because it resisted moisture, wiped clean, and held up better than paint in a humid room. What most homeowners did not know was that the paper backing on many vinyl wallpaper products contained asbestos fibers, added as a fire retardant. The adhesive paste used to hang it could also contain asbestos. As long as the wallpaper stayed on the wall, the fibers remained trapped. But bathrooms are demolition zones during renovations. Peeling, scraping, and steaming old wallpaper off plaster release those fibers directly into the air of a small enclosed space. Homes built between 1930 and 1980 were the most likely to contain asbestos wallpaper, and the bathroom, with its constant exposure to steam and humidity, was where the paper deteriorated fastest. No warning label appeared on any roll. The homeowner pulling old wallpaper off a bathroom wall with a putty knife had no way of knowing what was in it. On a cold morning in the 1970s, it was normal to plug a portable electric space heater into the bathroom outlet and set it on the floor beside the tub. The heater had exposed metal coils glowing red-hot behind a thin wire grill, no tip-over switch, no overheat sensor, and no ground fault protection on the outlet feeding it. If a child knocked it over, if a towel fell across the grill, or if it slid off a wet counter into standing water, nothing intervened. The coils kept glowing. The current kept flowing. The CPSC did not begin requiring tip-over shutoff switches on portable electric heaters until the 1990s. For 2 full decades, families heated their bathrooms with glowing coils, open grills, and zero automatic protection of any kind. The chrome-plated faucet on your 1970s bathroom sink looked clean and modern, but the brass alloy underneath it contained lead, sometimes as much as 8% by weight. Every time hot water ran through the faucet body, it accelerated the leaching process, dissolving trace amounts of lead directly into the stream you used to brush your teeth, wash your face, and fill a glass of water before bed. The brass industry knew that lead made their alloys easier to machine and helped prevent leaks in threaded fittings. They kept using it for decades. The Safe Drinking Water Act amendments of 1986 capped lead content in plumbing fittings at 8%, but that ceiling was not meaningful protection. The Reduction of Lead in Drinking Water Act of 2011 finally lowered the limit to 0.25%, effective 2014. For nearly 40 years, every faucet in your bathroom was legally allowed to contain enough lead to contaminate the water flowing through it. The textured ceiling above your 1970s bathroom was not plaster. It was a spray-on acoustic coating, commonly called popcorn ceiling, and until the late 70s it was often mixed with chrysotile asbestos for fire resistance and durability. Contractors sprayed it directly overhead, and the lumpy white surface trapped moisture, yellowed from steam, and shed particles whenever someone bumped it with a broom handle or a shower curtain rod. The EPA banned spray-on asbestos-containing materials in 1978, but the ban applied to new applications only. Every popcorn ceiling already installed was left in place. In 1986, the EPA estimated that 35,000 American schools still contained friable asbestos materials, and residential bathrooms were not even part of that count. A homeowner who scraped a popcorn ceiling during a bathroom renovation without testing it first filled the room with airborne asbestos fibers. The only safe option was to seal it or have it professionally removed. If the hazards hiding in bathroom materials were invisible, the one sitting on the counter was obvious to anyone who thought about it. The hairdryer plugged into your bathroom outlet had no immersion protection device, no sealed motor housing, and no mechanism to cut power if it hit water. Underwriters' laboratories did not require immersion protection until UL Standard 859 was revised in 1991. Before that, a dryer that slipped off the counter into a filled sink or bathtub could deliver a fatal shock to anyone touching the water. The CPSC estimated hairdryer electrocutions killed an average of 18 people per year through the 80s. After immersion protection became mandatory, those deaths dropped to nearly zero. The technology was a small sealed plug that detected water and tripped the circuit in milliseconds. It cost less than $1 per unit. It took the industry 20 years to add it. Bathroom caulk, tile adhesive, and cabinet-grade plywood installed during the 1970s commonly contained urea formaldehyde resins. The chemical bonded well and resisted moisture, which made it popular in wet environments. The problem was off-gassing. Formaldehyde released a sharp, acrid vapor at room temperature, and the rate climbed with heat and humidity, the exact conditions found in a bathroom after a hot shower. In 2004, the International Agency for Research on Cancer reclassified formaldehyde as a confirmed human carcinogen, linking prolonged exposure to nasopharyngeal cancer and leukemia. No regulation limited formaldehyde emissions from residential building products during the 70s. The Formaldehyde Standards for Composite Wood Products Act was not signed until 2010. For 4 decades, the warm air in a freshly caulked bathroom carried a compound eventually classified alongside asbestos and tobacco smoke. The fill valve inside your toilet tank was made of brass, and that brass contained lead. Water sat in the tank for hours between flushes, in direct contact with the valve's lead-bearing components. Most people never thought of the toilet as a lead exposure source, but the same supply line feeding the tank also fed the bathroom sink. Before 2014, brass plumbing fixtures could legally contain up to 8% lead. The Reduction of Lead in Drinking Water Act dropped that threshold to 0.25%, but even the new law carved out specific exemptions for toilets, bidets, and fill valves. The exemption remains in effect. The one fixture that holds standing water in your bathroom around the clock was never fully covered by the lead-free standard. Every chrome faucet, towel bar, and drain cover in a 1970s bathroom got its mirror finish through electroplating with Hexavalent chromium, the same compound that contaminated the groundwater in Hinckley, California. Workers in chrome plating plants inhaled hexavalent chromium mist daily, and the EPA classified the compound as a known human carcinogen linked to lung cancer and kidney damage. The finished fixtures posed minimal direct risk to the homeowner, but the manufacturing process poisoned the workers who made them and the communities surrounding the plants. OSHA did not lower its permissible exposure limit for hexavalent chromium until 2006, decades after the health effects were documented. The chrome that made your bathroom shine came at a cost paid by someone else entirely. The exhaust duct running from your bathroom fan to the outside wall was often made of transit pipe, a product manufactured by Johns Manville using a mixture of Portland cement and asbestos fibers. Transit was lightweight, fire-resistant, and cheap, which made it the standard material for bathroom ventilation runs, furnace flues, and sewer pipes throughout the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. The pipe held up well in dry conditions, but in a bathroom exhaust duct, it was constantly exposed to warm, moisture-laden air. Over time, the cement matrix broke down, the surface became chalky, and asbestos fibers shed into the airstream being pulled through the duct. Anyone who cut, drilled, or removed a section of transit pipe during a renovation released a concentrated burst of fibers into an enclosed space. Johns Manville filed for bankruptcy in 1982, overwhelmed by asbestos litigation, with more than 16,000 lawsuits pending at the time. Before modern building codes caught up with basic science, a bathroom did not need an exhaust fan at all. If the room had a window that could be opened, that satisfied the ventilation requirement in most jurisdictions, even if the window was never actually opened. Bathrooms without windows were built with no mechanical ventilation whatsoever, meaning the steam from every shower, the moisture from every bath, and the fumes from every cleaning product had nowhere to go. The water vapor condensed on the walls, the ceiling, and behind the tile, creating ideal conditions for mold and mildew. In a room that also contained lead paint, asbestos joint compound, and formaldehyde-laced caulk, the lack of air circulation meant that whatever was off-gassing simply accumulated. Modern codes now require either an operable window or a mechanical exhaust fan rated for the room's square footage, but millions of older bathrooms were built to the earlier standard and never upgraded. Trisodium phosphate was the active ingredient in nearly every heavy-duty bathroom cleaner sold before the 1970s. TSP cut through soap scum, dissolved grease, and stripped grime off tile and porcelain like nothing else on the market. Families poured it into buckets of hot water and scrubbed the bathroom floor on their hands and knees without gloves, without ventilation, and without any understanding of what the chemical did to skin-on contact. TSP is a strong alkaline compound capable of causing chemical burns to exposed skin and serious irritation to the eyes and respiratory tract. The label on a box of Soilax or Spick and Span listed TSP as a main ingredient, but the warnings were minimal or absent. Beyond the bathroom, the phosphates in TSP-based cleaners flowed into municipal water systems and fed massive algae blooms in rivers and lakes, depleting dissolved oxygen and killing aquatic life across entire watersheds. Several states began banning phosphates in household detergents during the early 1970s. The product that made your bathroom floor sparkle was quietly poisoning the waterways downstream. The caulk sealing the joint between the bathtub and the tile wall in a 1970s bathroom was not silicone. It was a putty-based compound, and in many cases it contained asbestos fibers to improve flexibility and prevent cracking. Every time the caulk dried out, shrank, or pulled away from the surface, a homeowner would scrape out the old bead with a utility knife or a flathead screwdriver, releasing dried asbestos dust into the bathroom air. Then they would apply a fresh line of the same material and repeat the cycle a few years later. This was not a one-time exposure. It was a recurring task performed without a mask, without ventilation, and without any knowledge of what the caulk contained. Window glazing putty used in bathroom windows contained asbestos for the same reason. The simple act of maintaining the seals in your bathroom meant inhaling fibers that would not show their effects for decades. Between 1965 and 1973, roughly 2 million American homes were wired with single-strand aluminum wiring instead of copper, a cost-saving measure driven by a spike in copper prices. Aluminum expands and contracts more than copper when heated, and over time the connections at outlets, switches, and junction boxes loosened, creating gaps where electrical arcing could occur. The CPSC found that homes with aluminum wiring were 55 times more likely to reach fire hazard conditions at electrical connections than homes wired with copper. In a bathroom, where humidity accelerated corrosion at every connection point and where outlets sat inches from water sources, the risk compounded. The CPSC issued warnings but never banned aluminum wiring outright. Homes built during that 8-year window still carry the original wiring unless a homeowner paid to have it replaced or retrofitted with approved copper-to-aluminum connectors. Galvanized steel was the standard material for bathroom drain pipes through the 1960s and into the 70s. The pipes were zinc-coated to prevent rust, but the coating deteriorated from the inside out. As it broke down, the rough interior trapped scale, sediment, and lead from the solder at every joint. Hot bath water running through corroded galvanized pipes picked up contaminants with every use. A family drawing a bath for their kids sent water through decades of built-up residue without knowing it. Galvanized pipes were never recalled or banned. They fell out of favor as PVC and copper became cheaper. But in homes where the original plumbing was never replaced, those corroded steel pipes are still in the walls, still delivering water through 50 years of accumulated decay. The lock on a 1970s bathroom door was a simple push-button or twist mechanism on the inside knob with no exterior emergency release. If a child locked the door and could not unlock it, if someone fell and could not reach the handle, or if a medical emergency happened behind that closed door, the only way in was to break it down. In a room that contained scalding water with no anti-scald valve, electrical outlets with no ground fault protection, medications with no child-proof caps, and cleaning chemicals with no safety locks, The inability to open the door from the outside was the final layer in a system of compounding failures. Fire departments responded to bathroom lockout calls involving young kids on a routine basis throughout the 70s and 80s. Modern codes require privacy locks to include an exterior emergency release, a small slot turned with a screwdriver or a coin. The fix cost pennies. It took decades to become standard. Every hazard on this list sat behind one door that could not be opened from the outside. Few inventions felt more modern than non-stick cookware. Teflon promised freedom from scrubbing, stuck eggs, and greasy messes. Housewives and young couples alike embraced it as a symbol of convenience and progress. It was advertised as the perfect marriage of science and home life, sleek, spotless, and futuristic. The shine of those silver pans reflected an entire generation's faith in technology. But inside that slick surface lurked a chemical secret that no one could pronounce, much less understand. But what they did not know was that overheating a Teflon pan, something as simple as forgetting it on the stove, could release invisible toxic fumes. Birds dropped from their perches. Families complained of dizziness and coughing. Manufacturers brushed it off, calling it harmless. Yet behind closed doors, scientists knew those fumes came from chemicals that could cause flu-like symptoms in humans and death in pets. The same coating that made cooking easier also made breathing more dangerous. Teflon was progress, but at a price no one could see. Looking back, it is unsettling how something designed to make life cleaner ended up polluting the very air of the American kitchen. There was a time when stepping into a bathroom felt like diving into a bowl of guacamole. Avocado green tubs, harvest gold toilets, soft orange sinks. These were not mistakes. They were statements. In the 1960s and 1970s, these earthy tones were considered warm, grounded, and refreshingly modern. Designers took inspiration from nature and kitchens, believing that bathrooms should feel as inviting as any living space. But by the 1980s, that green started to resemble something less fresh, and the gold faded into a dull, outdated mustard. People began to regret their bold choices. New trends leaned toward beige, white, and chrome, colors that whispered clean rather than shouted retro. Remodels began to sweep these features away. Tubs were reglazed, sinks were replaced, and gold toilets were carted off to the dump. And yet, when someone today uncovers a perfectly preserved avocado bathroom, there is often a pause, a strange mix of laughter, admiration, and maybe even longing. These colors were part of a larger optimism, a time when people really believed they could color their homes into comfort. Love it or hate it, there was something fearless about a bathroom that looked like it belonged in a fruit salad. And that boldness is hard to forget. Aerosol hairsprays with CFC propellants were a bathroom essential in the 1970s, releasing clouds of hold and shine with every press of the nozzle. The satisfying hiss filled the air as perfectly styled hair became stiff enough to survive humidity, wind, and an entire day of activity. Teenagers, mothers, and grandmothers alike kept cans lined up on bathroom counters, using them daily without a single worry about what floated out alongside the sticky mist. Chlorofluorocarbons made these sprays work beautifully, creating a fine, even application that no pump bottle could match. Bathrooms filled with the sweet chemical scent every morning, and nobody imagined that each spray was contributing to a global crisis. Scientists eventually discovered that CFCs rose into the atmosphere and destroyed the ozone layer, protecting Earth from harmful radiation. The findings sparked international alarm and led to sweeping bans that removed these propellants from consumer products entirely. Families who had used hairspray innocently for years suddenly realized their morning routines had contributed to environmental damage on a planetary scale. Today, CFC propellants are completely forbidden. In the era of modern living, asbestos was marketed as a miracle material. It was heat-resistant, fireproof, and affordable, everything a builder could want. Homeowners proudly installed asbestos ceiling tiles, believing they were upgrading to a safer, more sophisticated home. No one questioned what was in the panels that covered their heads. When the tiles aged, cracked, or were cut during renovations, microscopic fibers filled the air, unseen but deadly. Families breathed it in for years, never suspecting the quiet danger in every breath. It was only later that doctors linked those fibers to lung cancer and mesothelioma, a cruel legacy of convenience. The saddest part is how long it took for the truth to surface. People trusted the advertisements, the packaging, and the promise of safety. Those ceilings were meant to insulate, but they ended up haunting countless lives. The shiny, modern touch of the 1970s turned out to be one of the deadliest materials ever brought into American homes. Before everything went digital, your bathroom scale looked like a piece of furniture. Heavy frosted glass, thick chrome framing, a sharp square shape with a dial that ticked with every movement. These glass cube scales were the height of sophistication in the 1950s and 1960s. People did not hide them in closets. They displayed them proudly, like a modern sculpture with a practical purpose. The mechanical dial was mesmerizing. Watching the needle settle felt like opening a safe. But they were not exactly easy to live with. They slid across tile. They cracked. And once digital scales arrived, their bulky, high-maintenance cousins quickly fell out of favor. People swapped them for cheaper, lighter, more precise alternatives, and the cube disappeared. But there was something charming about a bathroom scale that felt solid, serious, like it had authority. You stepped on it with the same respect you gave a bank teller or a high school principal. Today, these old scales are collector's items. Some people keep them as decor. Others try to get them working again, just to relive the satisfying click of a well-built machine. They may not sync to your phone, but they never needed to. They already had weight. Carbon tetrachloride spot removers were kept in bathroom cabinets throughout the 1970s, ready to tackle stubborn stains on clothes and tiles at a moment's notice. The liquid worked fast, dissolving grease and grime with an efficiency that seemed almost magical. People dabbed it onto collars, rubbed it into towels, and used it to clean bathroom fixtures without protective gloves or ventilation. The sharp chemical smell filled small bathrooms quickly, but nobody connected that odor to any real danger. Carbon tetrachloride evaporated into the air and entered the body through skin contact and inhalation, quietly damaging the liver and kidneys with every exposure. Families stored these bottles beside medicine and personal care products, never suspecting that a single container held something so hazardous. When researchers documented the serious health effects of repeated exposure, regulators moved to ban the chemical from consumer products entirely. Today, carbon tetrachloride is classified as a probable carcinogen, and its presence in old bathroom cabinets serves as a chilling reminder of how casually dangerous substances were once handled. Polyester was the fabric of the future, shiny, smooth, and effortlessly modern. In the 1970s, it covered everything from clothing to home decor. When polyester curtains hit the market, homeowners fell in love. They looked elegant, never needed ironing, and came in every color imaginable. But there was a hidden problem. Polyester burns fast and hot. A single spark from a candle, a brush against a space heater, or even a cigarette could turn them into a sheet of fire. Magazines called them the miracle of modern fibers, celebrating their durability and low maintenance, but left out the fact that once they caught fire, they melted onto skin. The chemical smell of burning polyester haunted firefighters and emergency rooms alike. It was fashion and function turned fatal under the glow of a single match. Reports of sudden household blazes started surfacing, each one eerily similar. The wrinkle-free revolution had quietly introduced a new kind of danger. Yet companies rarely mentioned that part in their glossy catalogs. People wanted convenience, and they got it, along with a risk they never saw coming. Polyester promised glamour but delivered flames. It is chilling to think how many living rooms glowed with more than just style. She was always there, watching over the bathroom like a guardian of dignity and decorum. A porcelain head, maybe with painted lashes and a tiny smile peeking out from the top of a wide crocheted dress. Underneath that ruffled skirt, an emergency roll of toilet paper, hidden in plain sight. These toilet paper dolls were a hallmark of mid-century bathrooms, especially in homes with a certain flair for tradition. You did not just keep spare rolls visible, You dressed them up. Sometimes they were handmade with love, sometimes bought from a local craft fair, and sometimes they came from catalog orders with matching sets. They were oddly formal, oddly whimsical, and completely accepted. But as homes became more modern and bathroom designs leaned toward minimalism, these quirky guardians began to disappear. People wanted sleek lines, not frilly surprises. The dolls were packed away, given away, or just forgotten. Today, you might stumble across one in a secondhand shop, her skirt a little dusty, her smile unchanged. And in that moment, you remember a different kind of bathroom, one that was personal, playful, and just a little bit strange. Because once upon a time, hiding your toilet paper was not about shame. It was about style. Lead-based bathroom paint covered walls, ceilings, and window frames throughout the 1970s, giving bathrooms that bright, clean look families loved. The glossy whites, soft pastels, and cheerful colors made small spaces feel fresh and inviting. Painters applied it without masks, homeowners touched up chips with bare hands, and nobody questioned what made the finish so durable. Lead was the secret ingredient that helped the paint resist moisture and peeling in humid bathroom air. Children leaned against painted walls, pressed their faces near windowsills, and played in tubs surrounded by surfaces slowly releasing invisible dust. As paint aged and flaked, tiny particles drifted onto towels, toothbrushes, and every surface the family touched. Doctors eventually connected rising cases of developmental delays to lead exposure inside homes. When regulators banned lead paint for residential use, the news shocked families who had lived surrounded by it for years. Remediation became expensive and complicated, leaving many homes with layers of danger hidden beneath newer coats. Today, those old bathroom walls serve as a reminder that beauty and safety do not always share the same formula. They were soft, they were fuzzy, and they were everywhere. If your childhood bathroom had a matching set of fabric pieces, one for the toilet seat, one wrapped around the base, and one sitting gently on top of the tank, you were not alone. These toilet tank lid covers were a staple of the 1970s and 1980s. Sold in coordinated sets at every department store, they promised comfort and style. It was all part of turning the bathroom into a true living space, not just a utility room. Designers wanted every surface to be soft and decorative, even the toilet. But the dream had its downsides. These fuzzy fabrics soaked up everything: humidity, splashes, the occasional accident, and they never seemed to dry completely. They became homes for bacteria, dust, and a smell that was always just slightly off. Eventually, practicality won. People peeled off the matching rugs, scrubbed their porcelain clean, and moved on to simpler, sleeker bathrooms. Today, those lid covers are mostly gone, hiding out in thrift shops or buried in boxes in grandma's attic. But if you ever spot one still in place, faded but hanging on, it brings back a strange mix of comfort and confusion. Who thought the toilet needed a hat? Phenol-based toilet bowl cleaners promised the deepest clean a bathroom could achieve, and families in the 1970s trusted them to destroy every germ lurking beneath the rim. The liquid poured out thick and pungent, swirling through the water with a chemical intensity that made scrubbing feel almost unnecessary. People believed that the stronger the smell, the harder the product was working, and these cleaners delivered a scent powerful enough to sting the eyes. Parents kept bottles under sinks within easy reach, never imagining that the very strength they prized could turn dangerous in an instant. Phenol burned skin on contact, released fumes that irritated lungs, and posed serious risks if accidentally swallowed or splashed. Children who wandered into bathrooms sometimes encountered spills or residue left behind on seats. Emergency rooms treated chemical burns and poisoning cases linked directly to these products. When regulators finally restricted phenol concentrations and banned the harshest formulas, families were forced to reconsider what clean really meant. The memory of those powerful cleaners lingers as a reminder that effective does not always mean safe. Backyard games were a staple of the 1970s, and lawn darts, known as jarts, were the ultimate crowd pleaser. Big, colorful darts that you tossed toward a plastic ring in the grass. It sounded harmless enough. Families loved them. Picnics, reunions, and barbecues were not complete without a set. But those darts were heavy, sharp, and made of solid metal. A single misthrow could and did cause devastating injuries. Television commercials showed fathers and sons laughing as the darts soared through the air, never showing what happened when they missed. The tips, designed to stick into the ground, were strong enough to pierce skin, bone, even skulls. What began as family fun turned into a national debate over whether danger could ever be part of the game. For years, warnings went ignored. Advertisers showed smiling families, barefoot kids, and perfect summer skies. Behind the fun, hospitals were reporting accidents nationwide. Eventually, the government stepped in, banning them altogether. It is strange how something meant to bring families together ended up tearing so many apart. Today, lawn darts remain a reminder that even the most innocent games can turn deadly when safety takes a back seat. There was a time when people smoked everywhere, in the car, at the dinner table, even in the bathroom. That is why so many mid-century homes had small ceramic ashtrays built right into the bathroom wall, usually next to the toilet or above the sink. They matched the tile, often set in pastel pink, mint, or baby blue, and they were not there by accident. The bathroom was one of the last quiet places in the house, and for many adults, it was a place to take a moment and take a puff. These ashtrays were permanent, glazed into the wall, designed to last. But as the health risks of smoking became impossible to ignore, these features quickly became awkward reminders of another time. People stopped using them. Some covered them with art. Others chipped them out entirely. Renovations wiped them away, but they left behind a story. A time when cigarettes were so common, even the bathroom made room for them. If you find one still in place today, it often draws a double take. Not because it is shocking, but because it is so easy to forget how normal it once was. The ashtray says nothing, but it remembers everything. Talcum powder with asbestos contamination was dusted onto bodies after baths throughout the 1970s, leaving skin feeling soft, dry, and fresh. Families kept the iconic bottles on bathroom shelves, shaking the fine white powder onto babies, children, and adults without any hesitation. The ritual felt wholesome and caring, a gentle finishing touch after washing that mothers passed down through generations. Nobody imagined that the mines producing talc often contained naturally occurring asbestos, or that microscopic fibers could be hiding inside every bottle. People inhaled the powder as it puffed into the air, coating lungs with particles that would not reveal their damage for decades. Researchers eventually connected contaminated talc to cancers and respiratory diseases, sparking lawsuits and regulatory action. The revelation devastated families who had used the product lovingly on their children for years. Manufacturers faced pressure to test products, and some formulations were pulled from shelves entirely. Today, the talcum powder that once symbolized purity carries warnings and restrictions that would have seemed unimaginable in the 70s. Parents in the 1970s wanted their babies to walk sooner, move faster, and explore the world safely. Baby walkers with metal frames seemed like the perfect invention, a sturdy little chariot for curious toddlers. The commercials showed smiling babies zipping around kitchens, their mothers laughing proudly. But reality was far from safe. The metal frames were heavy, the wheels moved too easily, and one wrong push sent babies tumbling downstairs or into sharp corners. Doctors and safety experts warned of the risks, but television ads kept showing picture-perfect homes where babies moved freely and safely. Behind the marketing glow were countless emergency room visits for skull fractures, broken limbs, and concussions. The wheels that symbolized independence also carried children straight into danger at speeds no one anticipated. Emergency rooms filled with injuries that no one saw coming. Pediatricians begged for the product to be rethought, but the market kept booming. It took years for regulations to catch up, and by then, the damage was done. What was supposed to symbolize independence became a silent threat rolling across living room floors. The sound of those tiny wheels once meant joy, but for many families, it ended in fear. It felt glamorous the moment you saw it. A tub built directly into the floor, surrounded by shag carpet, wall mirrors, and maybe a velvet step stool for good measure. Sunken bathtubs were the luxury trend of the 1970s, equal parts spa and movie set. You did not climb into them. You descended. And once inside, you could stretch out under low lighting and pretend you were in a Hollywood dream. But reality hit fast. These tubs were a pain to clean. They collected dust and mildew in every corner. Getting out was a full-body challenge, and one slip on a damp floor could turn elegance into an emergency. As trends changed and safety took priority, the sunken tub quietly faded from new builds. But remnants remain in homes that have not been updated since the disco era. There is something oddly romantic about seeing one today, even if it no longer works. A quiet echo of a time when style mattered more than function, when even a bath could be an experience. And while few people would install one now, they still capture a strange kind of magic. A reminder that once, your tub was not just a necessity, it was a destination. Hexachlorophene antibacterial soap was marketed as the cleanest, safest way to wash skin in the 1970s, and parents trusted it completely. Hospitals used it on newborns, families kept it beside bathroom sinks, and advertisements promised protection against germs that ordinary soap could never touch. The creamy lather felt luxurious, and the faint medicinal smell reassured people that it was working harder than anything else on the shelf. Mothers bathed infants in it daily, believing they were giving their children the healthiest start possible. What no one realized was that hexachlorophene absorbed through the skin and accumulated in the body with repeated use. Researchers eventually discovered that the chemical caused brain damage in infants and neurological problems in adults who used it regularly. The revelation shocked families who had trusted the product without hesitation. Regulators moved quickly once the evidence became undeniable, banning hexachlorophene from over-the-counter products entirely. Looking back, it feels deeply unsettling to know that something used to protect the most vulnerable carried dangers no parent could have imagined. In the mid-1970s, energy efficiency was the new American dream. People wanted homes that stayed warm in winter and cool in summer without wasting money. That dream led to formaldehyde foam insulation, hailed as a cheap, cutting-edge solution. Contractors sprayed it into walls like miracle foam, sealing gaps in minutes. At first, homeowners were thrilled. Their houses felt warmer, the bills were smaller, and the air smelled faintly of newness. Then came the headaches, burning eyes, and nausea. The culprit? Toxic formaldehyde gas leaking into every room. What started as progress turned into panic. Families opened windows in the dead of winter, desperate for clean air while government agencies scrambled to investigate. The foam was eventually banned, but its smell lingered in memory, a sharp reminder of how easily safety could be sold as innovation. The insulation meant to protect families instead turned their homes into slow, suffocating traps. At the time, it made perfect sense. Why step onto a cold tile floor in the middle of winter when you could sink your feet into soft, wall-to-wall carpet? Carpeted bathrooms were the height of comfort in the 1970s and 1980s. Homes leaned into the cozy trend with colors like dusty rose, deep sea foam, or even chocolate brown. It was all about luxury on a budget, turning the bathroom into a spa-like retreat where even your toes felt pampered. But the dream did not last long. Carpet and moisture were never meant to be friends. Wet footprints, overflowing tubs, and steamy showers turned that plush carpet into a breeding ground for mildew. Shampoo spills left stains. Toilet leaks became dark, soggy secrets. Once people realized just how impossible it was to keep clean, the charm started to fade. Health officials and home renovation experts began to sound the alarm. Carpeting was ripped out, replaced with linoleum, tile, or anything that could be mopped and bleached. But for a generation of kids who remember brushing their teeth while their feet sank into a soft, shaggy floor, the memory sticks. It was warm, it was weird, and it was one of the strangest trends to ever take hold of the American bathroom. So what hidden dangers were quietly waiting behind the medicine cabinet door? Mercury glass thermometers in medicine cabinets were the most trusted tool for checking fevers in every household across the nation. Parents would shake them with a quick flick of the wrist, slip them under a child's tongue, and wait patiently for that thin silver line to climb or fall. The glass felt cool against the lips, and the ritual of reading the tiny numbers became a comforting part of being cared for when you felt sick. Nobody thought twice about what made that shimmering line move so smoothly. Mercury, the very substance that allowed the thermometer to work, was sitting inches from toothbrushes and everything else the family touched each morning. A single drop, one crack on a tile floor, and suddenly an invisible danger spread across the bathroom without anyone realizing it. Children watched the silver beads scatter and sometimes tried to touch them, fascinated by how they rolled and split apart. It took decades for regulators to understand how toxic even small exposures could be. Today, these thermometers are banned from sale, and families are urged to dispose of old ones through hazardous waste programs. In the 1970s, a bright coat of paint was seen as the quickest way to freshen up a home. The walls glistened with color, the nursery looked cheerful, and even wooden toys were coated in glossy perfection. What no one realized was that beauty came with a cost. A quiet, invisible danger hiding in plain sight. Lead-based paint was everywhere, from cribs to kitchen walls, sold as durable and easy to clean. Families trusted it, unaware that each chip and flake released toxic dust that lingered in the air and settled on everything. Children, drawn to the bright colors, often ingested it without anyone knowing. By the time doctors began connecting developmental problems to lead exposure, millions of homes were already covered in the stuff. It took decades for regulations to catch up, and even then, the damage was done. This was the kind of danger that did not explode or burn, it simply stayed, poisoning quietly. Looking back now, it is haunting how something so ordinary became one of the most dangerous household hazards of its time. They looked like nothing. A tiny slit in the back of the medicine cabinet, sometimes labeled, sometimes not. But mid-century homeowners knew exactly what it was for. Used razor blades. Back when razors were made of metal and designed to be replaced regularly, you could not toss them in the trash without risking someone's fingers. So you dropped them into the wall instead, one by one, forever. Builders thought they were doing something smart, safe disposal with no mess. But over time, those tiny drops added up. Home renovators have opened walls and found literal piles of old blades resting silently between the studs, untouched for 50 years. Today, the idea seems insane. But it was once standard practice. The slot was clean, tidy, out of sight. It solved a problem without really thinking about the future. And now, those future walls are filled with yesterday's solutions. The blade slot reminds us that even the safest seeming features can have a hidden cost. That behind every smooth bathroom wall, there might be a quiet collection of rusting metal, forgotten by everyone except the house itself. Asbestos pipe insulation wrapped around hot water pipes beneath bathroom sinks was considered a smart, practical choice in the 1970s. The material kept pipes from losing heat, prevented condensation, and seemed like the kind of sensible upgrade every homeowner should make. Plumbers installed it routinely, and families never gave it a second thought as they reached beneath sinks for cleaning supplies. The insulation looked harmless, wrapped neatly in a grayish-white covering that blended into the background of everyday life. But asbestos does not stay contained forever. As the material aged, cracked, or was disturbed during repairs, microscopic fibers escaped into the air. These fibers were small enough to float invisibly through bathrooms and lodge deep inside lungs, where they caused damage that sometimes took decades to appear. When researchers connected asbestos exposure to deadly diseases, the true cost of this common insulation became horrifyingly clear. Regulators banned its use in homes, and specialized removal teams became necessary for safe disposal. Families who once appreciated the practicality of wrapped pipes now faced expensive remediation. Nothing said comfort like curling up under an electric blanket on a cold night. They were luxury and warmth rolled into one, a modern marvel for the modern family. But early models had a dangerous flaw: poor wiring. Wires frayed inside the fabric, sparks flew, and fires started in the middle of the night. The cozy hum of electricity felt like progress itself. No more cold sheets or frosty mornings. But inside those blankets, tangled wires rubbed and wore thin with each use, turning comfort into kindling. One overheated coil could transform a peaceful night into a blaze that consumed the very bed it was meant to warm. What was supposed to be comfort became catastrophe. People trusted their blankets to keep them safe and warm, not realizing that one flick of the switch could ignite the bed beneath them. Manufacturers eventually added safety switches and temperature controls, but not before tragedy struck countless homes. The danger of electric blankets was quiet but terrifying. It lived in the very object meant to bring comfort. Even now, some still remember that faint electrical smell, the hum of danger disguised as luxury. Hair dryers without ground fault protection were plugged into bathroom outlets every morning throughout the 1970s, humming loudly as families rushed through their routines. These early models delivered powerful heat, but lacked the safety features that would later become mandatory. People used them inches from running faucets, balanced them on wet countertops, and never considered what might happen if water and electricity met at the wrong moment. The combination of steam, splashing sinks, and bare electrical cords created conditions that today seem unthinkable. Tragically, electrocutions occurred when dryers fell into bathtubs or sinks, and the results were often fatal. Children and adults alike died from accidents that happened in seconds, turning ordinary mornings into devastating tragedies. When regulators finally required ground fault circuit interrupters in bathroom outlets and within hairdryers themselves, the death toll dropped dramatically. Families who had never questioned their morning routine suddenly understood how close they had come to disaster. Today, those old hairdryers are banned, and their memory serves as a reminder that electrical safety in wet spaces matters. In the 1970s, microwave ovens were the crown jewel of kitchen technology. They cooked faster, looked futuristic, and promised freedom from the oven. Everyone wanted one. But early models came with a terrifying flaw: radiation leakage. The doors did not seal properly, allowing microwave energy to escape into the room. People reported strange sensations, headaches, and even interference with medical devices like pacemakers. Engineers rushed to patch the issue, but many homes kept using their old machines, unaware of the invisible risk humming beside them. What makes it chilling is how normal it all seemed: the soft hum, the warm food, the invisible waves. Microwaves changed the way America cooked, but their early days were filled with more mystery than safety. Progress, as always, came with a price, and this one could not be seen, only felt. Lead acetate hair dye products sat on bathroom shelves throughout the 1970s, promising a gradual, natural-looking way to cover gray hair without harsh color changes. Users applied the product daily, combing it through their hair and watching as gray strands slowly darkened over weeks of faithful use. The process felt sophisticated and subtle, appealing to people who wanted to look younger without anyone noticing the transformation. What they did not realize was that lead acetate absorbed through the scalp with every application, entering the bloodstream and accumulating in the body over time. The heavy metal built up silently, and users had no way of knowing how much they had absorbed until symptoms appeared. Researchers documented elevated lead levels in regular users, connecting the product to neurological problems and other serious health effects. When regulators finally banned lead acetate from hair dyes, the decision came after decades of widespread use that had exposed millions of people. Families who trusted the gentle darkening process were shocked to learn they had been applying a toxic heavy metal to their heads. Every one of these hazards sat behind the same bathroom door your family closed each morning. Like and subscribe if you survived.